For most of my life, I was uncomfortable with death. My own, the death of those people around me. I want you to think, if you can, what was the age for you when the bubble burst? When you suddenly realized that people can die? Some of you was really young. Some of us waited a little bit longer. I think for me it was probably around 7 or 8 years old where suddenly it was, oh no, this can get really close. Lent is this season leading up to Easter. If you're new to the church or church experiences, churches have often celebrated the 40 days before Easter to remember the 40 days Jesus went to the desert and suffered and was tempted. It's a season of preparation, a season of renewal, a season of spiritual focus. And this year we chose to take this theme for the 5 Sundays before Easter to talk about facing death. Facing death with hope. That's scary because death is unknown. It brings up hard memories for some of us. Most would prefer to not talk about it. If we do talk about it, we're going to talk about it in hushed voices, in whispers, in minor keys. But Christians do have this courageous willingness to look at death differently. So today I want to take you to a place in the Bible. I want to take you to Psalm 88. If you're ever here, I want to challenge you to open up a Bible, open up your phone, follow along. We have a church app that has a way you can just click on and get the scripture pretty accessibly. And as you listen to today's scripture, I want you to try to picture the author. We don't know a lot about this author, but try to picture them if you could. Here are these words. I'm going to read the entire psalm for you. They will be on the screen. You can follow along as well. It says this, Lord, you are the God who saves me. Day and night I cry out to you. May my prayer come before you. Turn your ear to my cry. I'm overwhelmed with troubles, and my life draws near to death. I'm counted among those who go down to the pit. I am like one without strength. I'm set apart with the dead, like the slain who lie in the grave, whom you remember no more, who are cut off from your care. You have put me in the lowest pit, in the darkest depths. Your wrath lies heavily on me. You have overwhelmed me with all your waves. You've taken from me my closest friends and have made me repulsive to them. I am confined and cannot escape. My eyes are dim with grief. I call to you, Lord, every day. I spread out my hands to you. Do you show your wonders to the dead? Do their spirits rise up and praise you? Is your love declared in the grave, your faithfulness in destruction? Are your wonders known in the places of darkness, or your righteous deeds in the land of oblivion? But I cry to you for help, Lord. In the morning my prayer comes before you. Why, Lord, do you reject me and hide your face from me? From my youth I have suffered and been close to death. I have borne your terrors and am in despair. Your wrath has swept over me. Your terrors have destroyed me. All day long they surround me like a flood. They have completely engulfed me. You've taken from me friend and neighbor. Darkness is my closest friend. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Are we thankful for that one? I ask you to think about this person. Let's just kind of go through who they are emotionally, physically, socially, and spiritually. Verse 3, I am overwhelmed with troubles. My life draws near to death. Verse 4 and 5, I am like one without strength. I am set apart from the dead. Physically, not good. Verse 8, you've taken from me my closest friends and made me repulsive to them. How's their social life? Not going great. How's their spiritual life? Verse 14, why, Lord, do you reject me and hide your face from me? What we have here is a person at rock bottom. AI designed this little image of this person for us. Population 1. Doesn't get worse than this. Overwhelmed physically, emotionally, socially, spiritually. He is facing death. He's crying out to God for help. Maybe it's she, we don't know. This is one of those texts that we read it in the Bible and say, how did this get in the book? And some of you right now are thinking like, Pastor, I didn't come to church for this today. I came to be encouraged. I thought it was going to be positive. I wanted you to uplift my spirits, and right now you're kind of a downer. This guy or girl isn't alone. There's dozens of prayers just like this in the Bible. They're real people bringing real hurt to a real God and boldly questioning God. What's going on? I don't get it. And if that's not you today, praise God, I'm happy for you, but let's acknowledge that that pain is real, and there's at least a few dozen people in this room who feel that. Today, I want to guide you through that feeling to hope, and if it's not you today, I want to give you the tools when you face it in the future. We tend to do one of two things when we encounter people who are really, really at rock bottom. One is we just avoid them. Like we see them coming or we know who they are, and so when they call or text, you're like, just want to steer clear. Because they are a downer, they're chronically ill, they're depressed, they're discouraged. There's nothing you can do to make their situation better, so space and distance is the safest method. Or the other thing we might do is we might see them and it brings up for us our own struggles or pains or past, and we're actually drawn to them and we want to get close to them because we know that they're going through a hard time just like we've gone through hard times. Let me ask a really big question, if I can. Can a socially isolated, physically broken, spiritually discouraged, dying man or woman be a person of faith? Can a socially isolated, physically broken, spiritually discouraged, dying person be a person of faith? Because there's a version of Christianity, and maybe you've encountered it, maybe it's something you actually still hold on to, that says they are not a person of faith. They have lost their faith because they've lost their positive attitude. They don't have joy in all circumstances. They're too focused on their flesh. What are they doing? Questioning God with their prayers and petitions and their questions. Some would even say the reason they're suffering is because they don't have strong enough faith. If they had strong enough faith, God wouldn't do this to them. God is trying to teach them a tough lesson by giving them hardships. Or maybe God knew in advance they wouldn't have faith, so he predestined this suffering to teach them, to humble them. That version of Christianity is a lie. It's an immature attempt to limit God perpetrated by privileged and proud people who refuse to soften their hearts. Let me remind you, church, as we walk toward Easter, we follow a version of Christianity that celebrates a cross, a grave, a suffering servant. I was with someone this week going through their own suffering and was just reminding them that as they experience their own suffering, don't forget that you believe in a God who suffered and died and descended to the dead. That's what we believe. And we find hope in that. So I want to actually argue that this person is a person of faith, and we know it for two reasons. Number one, he is still praying, right? Let me bring up the verses that point this out. I think I can do this with the next slide if we can. Here we go. Verse 1, Lord, you are the God who saves me. Day and night I cry out to you. Verse 9, I call to you, Lord, every day. I spread out my hands to you. Verse 13, but I cry to you for help, Lord. In the morning my prayer comes before you. Is this person still praying? Yeah. The prayers that we offer toward God, the conversation that we continue, even though God feels distant or far or we feel like we're alone, that prayer is faith. It is continuing to believe in a God I don't currently see, feel, or experience to be answering my requests. It's a form of prayer. Crying to God is a form of prayer. The second reason we know this person is a person of faith is they keep trusting God. Verse 2, may my prayer come before you. Turn your ear to my cry. The hardest thing to do in a relationship is to put yourself out there knowing you might not be received the way you want to. This person's doing that with God. God, hear my prayer. God, I come before you. God, I open up my hands to you. God, I open up my heart to you. That's what it looks like to be vulnerable in the presence of God. If you were to describe Psalm 88 and put it into a category of psalms, it would be called a lament. Maybe you know that term. You might not know that lament is one of the most powerful tools that a suffering Christian has. And if you don't know how to lament, let me give you the 4 steps really quickly. Number 1, turn to God. Number 2, bring your complaint to God. Now, some of you just felt like handcuffs and shackles were like taken off of you. Yes, you can complain to God. Some of you were told from an early age you can't bring that stuff to God. That's not true. Read Psalm 88. Bring your junk to God. Bring your pain to God. Bring your hurt to God. He's waiting for you. He knows you're struggling. Number 3, ask God boldly for help. Number 4, choose to trust God. So it sounds like this: God, you're the only one I can turn to about this. I'm frustrated, I'm hurt, I'm alone, I'm disappointed, I'm discouraged, I'm tired, I'm fatigued, I'm overwhelmed. And I need to say this because I need to get it off my chest, and I think you can handle it, God. So here's my pain, here's my hurt, here's my disappointment. Now I'm asking you boldly to do something about it. Do what you think is best, Lord, but please help me. I'm hurting. And then, God, I trust you. I trust that you might answer my prayer, but if you don't, that I'm going to be okay because you're with me no matter what. And even if I don't get all those things answered, I still believe in you. Even if it results in my life changing, or maybe the victory is after this life. Sometimes the only thing we can do is lament. Lament is trusting God, naming the hurt, asking the question, seeking God's presence, and trusting in His sovereignty. Before I go on, I want to dig in just a little bit deeper because I want to get at some of the pain that some of you live with, if I can. I'm going to be really courageous here. Verse 5, I want you to notice the isolation. I am set apart with the dead, meaning separated. I'm put in that group. It's hospice. It's do not touch, do not go near. It's just leave them be. They're almost gone. Verse 8, you've taken from me my closest friends and made me repulsive to them. Verse 18, you've taken from me friend and neighbor. Darkness is my closest friend. I want to put up those 3 verses for you because I think it's incredibly true that loneliness is a profound pain, isn't it? And pain often creates loneliness, and loneliness often creates pain, and they just keep working off of each other. And if you don't know that that's true, maybe you've been blessed that you've never lost anybody really close to you, and feels like what it's like that person can't answer the phone anymore, or doesn't share a room with you anymore, or isn't going to be at the family meeting anymore. Or maybe the loneliness you know is that you've sat in a lot of waiting rooms and hospital meetings or hospital appointments. Loneliness is a profound pain. It brings us back to this larger reality that death is in many ways inevitable. This inevitable truth makes us uncomfortable. So we avoid it at all costs. We shield ourselves from it. We say, you know what, that's really, the people who die live on the other side of the tracks. They don't manage their diet really well. They don't go for their annual physical. They make reckless driving decisions. That wouldn't happen to me. I have my car has a great crash rating, and I take all my vitamins, and I do all the things I'm supposed to do. I'm going to live forever. Tim Keller passed away recently. Tim Keller's the pastor I probably listen to most. He died of cancer. He faced it twice, died the second time he faced it. He wrote this about death and suffering. He said, it's absolutely coming. No amount of money, power, and planning can prevent bereavement, dire illness, relationship betrayal, financial disaster. Life is tragic. The problem with denying something is that you're denying often something that's inevitable. And when you deny the inevitable becomes reality. And when reality comes, you're not prepared for it because you denied it. So we can do a couple things here. You can leave here and say, yeah, I'm just going to take the next 4 weeks off and find another church. Maybe I'll come back after Easter. Really don't like this conversation around death. Or you can join me and face it. We can face the inevitable reality. We can face it and actually develop courage and competence and community that allows us to go forward. And it might not be death. It might just be suffering or disappointment that you need to face, but we can face it differently. So let me ask you 4 really blunt questions. Number 1, have you been to rock bottom before? Can you date it? The year, the age of your life, place where you lived, what was going on? Have you faced death before? Have you lost people you loved? And the last question, the one that often gets me, are you prepared to die? I had a teacher in college, a professor, who used to say, the key is to live with the end in sight. If you live with the end in sight, you can live better in the moment you're in. It's a good thought. It might surprise you to know that there's actually some benefits of this rock bottom thing. Rock bottom reveals things. Now, rock bottom reveals what actually matters, right? I can't tell you, I've been with so many of you in hospital rooms or bedsides and hospice situations where suddenly that meeting tomorrow doesn't matter. And the vacation home you dreamed of, who cares? What matters is what's before us right now. Rock bottom reveals what matters in life. Rock bottom will also reveal to you the health of your relationships. Like, do you have people? Do you have people of depth? Do you have strength? Because oftentimes when the things go really sideways, that we lose the people in our life and we feel that isolation that happens with that. The third truth about that rock bottom reveals is that there are hard truths that you've been trying to avoid and you can't avoid them anymore, like you're human, you're limited, you don't have all the money or power or time in the world. And the last one that it reveals is who's in control. Who's in control? Here's Tim Keller one more time. He says, when pain and suffering come upon us, we finally see not only that we are not in control of our lives, but that we never were. That gets me. Often I meet somebody who's frustrated with their job or their marriage or their neighborhood or their body, and they feel stuck. And they wonder, like, what am I doing at rock bottom? What did I do to deserve this? And often they're overlooking the gift that is there before them. There's a reality they can finally face. They can finally change. And having walked with quite a few people who've gone through addiction, what we often ask in that moment is, are they ready? Have they finally reached rock bottom? And we kind of wonder, like, what's that rock bottom going to be for that person? And the rock bottom is when you're finally ready to go forward and stop going the wrong direction. I want to read to you 3 prayers. That's going to be the rest of the message today. They're all in the Bible. They're 3 stories of people who are at rock bottom moments. And the first one I want to look at is the story of Jonah. You might know that story. Jonah's an Old Testament prophet called to be the prophet to the people of Nineveh. He hates the people of Nineveh. He's likely racist against the people of Nineveh. Doesn't want to deal with them and their issues, and so he literally goes the other direction. Gets on a boat and sails to Tarshish, the edge of the world, essentially. And he's in the boat in the middle of the sea, and the storm comes up, and he knows that it's because of him. He knows that God has actually brought this storm to get his attention, so he tells the guys in the boat with him, they throw me over, and they do. And as he's drowning, as he's falling toward his death, he's swallowed up by a large fish, the story goes. And there's a prayer in the middle of Jonah chapter 2, that I want to read for you. Pay attention to his rock bottom moment. From inside the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord his God. He said, in my distress, so now he's kind of reflecting on what happened. In my distress, I called to the Lord, and he answered me. From the deep, inside the realm of the dead, I called for help, and you listened to my cry. You hurled me into the depths, to the very heart of the sea, and the currents swirled around me. All your waves and breakers swept over me. I said, I've been banished from your sight, yet I will look again toward your holy temple. In other words, Jonah is saying, God, in this moment, I prayed to you. I looked to you. I asked for your presence. Verse 5, the engulfing waters threatened me, the deep surrounded me, seaweed was wrapped around my head. To the roots of the mountains I sank down, the earth beneath barred me in forever. But you, Lord my God, brought my life up from the pit. When my life was ebbing away, I remembered you, and my prayer rose to you, to your holy temple. Those who cling to worthless idols turn away from God's love for them. But I, with shouts of grateful praise, will sacrifice to you. What I vowed I will make good. I will say, and this is what he was avoiding the whole time, I will say, salvation comes from the Lord. And the Lord commanded the fish, and he vomited Jonah onto dry ground. It doesn't get more rock bottom, right, than the bottom of the sea, in the belly of the fish, surrounded by vomit, to realize that your way of life isn't working, or that you're powerless, or that you really don't get to tell God what he gets to do. And so when Jonah finally reaches that moment, reaches his rock bottom, he turns his attention toward God and has this transformational moment. What will it take for you to have a transformational moment? I would hope you can do this without the sea and the fish and the vomit. But some of you might need some of those things. 2 more prayers. This one comes from Psalm 22. You know Psalm 23? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down beside green pastures and still waters. We love that one. We don't read Psalm 22 as often, but it's a good one. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from my cries of anguish? This is David praying, by the way. My God, I cry out to you by day, but you don't answer. By night, but I find no rest. You are enthroned as the Holy One. You are the one that Israel praises. In you our ancestors put their trust. They trusted and you delivered them. To you they cried out and were saved. In you they trusted and were not put to shame. But I am a worm and not a man, scorned by everyone, despised by the people. All who seek me mock me. They hurl insults at me, shaking their heads. He trusts in the Lord, they say. Let the Lord rescue him. Let him deliver him, since he delights in him. And then jumping to verse 11, do not be far from me, for trouble is near, and there is no one to help. David is in a rock bottom moment. He's in a moment of distress. He feels overwhelmed socially, physically, spiritually. His desperation, he cries out toward God. And God hears him. And God walks with David. Because the very next psalm is Psalm 23, which says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, what's the next line? You are with me. So David has these 2 spiritual experiences. Psalm 22, my God, why have you so forsaken me? Why are you so far from me? Then Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd. He leads me. He walks with me. Where? Green pastures, still waters, and the valley of the shadow of death. I hope you know that God, who's both, who walks with you in both, because that God has one more prayer. Matthew 27. Maybe you heard this as you were listening to Psalm 22. This is the story about Jesus' last breath on the cross. From noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over the land. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried in a loud voice, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? Which is Psalm 22. When those who heard him say this, they said, he's calling Elijah. Immediately, one of them ran and got a sponge and filled it with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, no, leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him. And when Jesus cried out in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. Jesus' last words were a prayer from the Son to his Father. A prayer from rock bottom, from Sheol, which is the Hebrew word for hell. Here's a man facing death with faith. Here's David facing death with faith. Here's Jonah facing death with faith. Here's you. Are you facing death with faith? Whether it's your death or somebody you love or the death that's coming in the future, do you have faith? You know what this means? If you're a Christian, you believe in a God who's been to rock bottom. You believe in a God who can sympathize with your own struggle. You believe in a God who went to death fully experiencing its power and pain and wasn't broken by it. You believe in a God and trust God who defeats the final enemy. This is why Christians have this incredible opportunity. We can face death with hope because we believe in a God who sympathizes, who identifies, and gives us victory now and forever. There's nobody who knows the pit, Sheol, rock bottom, better than our Lord. So you can do one of 2 things. You can avoid death, or you can do as Martin Luther tells us to do, familiarize yourself with death now to be prepared for the future. Is death really a doorway to resurrection life? I want to leave you with one last thought. It's an invitation. if you're facing death right now, or if you're grieving the death of a loved one you've lost, or you just want to be prepared for it in the future, here's my invitation. Face death in a conversation with God. In fact, face your suffering in a conversation with God. Face your frustrations in a conversation with God. Learn to lament. Ask God to walk with you through the valley of the shadow of death and find God's powerful presence there. With that in mind, I'd like to pray for you, for our community, for our congregation, for our world, and for those especially who face death. Would you pray with me?